My grandmother is Herschel Donnie Williams. Of two major events that contributed to shaping my grandmother's life, growing up in the Dust Bowl, a period of severe drought and dust storms in the 30s, was a major one. My grandmother described the Dust Bowl as being an extremely trying time. Although she was really young without the responsibilities of her parents, she felt the pain that was marked by the Dust Bowl. My grandmother described some of the difficulties, explaining that the wind would blow so hard they had to cover their windows with blankets, and the wind blowing up under the house would cause the linoleum floor to lift up. At night, her mother would give her and her sisters a wet washcloth to put over their mouths because the dust in the air made it so difficult to breathe, and her walks to school were always accompanied by stinging dirt and gravel on her legs. Due to these physical trials, my grandmother claims she learned to be a strong and tough person even at a very young age. During the Dust Bowl, my grandmother told how her father, a blacksmith, found much needed purpose in his work as he designed plows that could help plant shelter belts. Shelter belts are lines of trees that surround fields and houses to help block wind. Through watching her dad use his work to contribute to fixing the problem of the Dust Bowl, my grandmother learned that whatever we do in life, we should use our work to help others. According to my grandmother, however big or small a job is labeled by the world, the most important thing is to love and serve others in your work. Lastly, my grandmother's character was molded into one of patience and endurance. The Dust Bowl taught her that nothing lasts forever. No matter how large a storm of adversity is, it will pass, and you will be a better person for having endured it. Another major event that transformed my grandmother was the death of her husband. When growing up, due to her family background, my grandmother never thought of leaving home, becoming educated, and getting a job of her own. Instead, she thought of getting married and becoming a stay-at-home mother. She wanted and expected this of herself. When she met my grandfather, David Madison Williams, a man 7 years older, he was in the military service and getting prepared to leave for Korea for war. She could tell in their short time together before he left that he was something special. Over their time apart, they wrote each other every single day, and upon his return, he proposed and they married. They began their life together, and my grandfather became her support, advisor, and caretaker. My grandmother described him as her everything. She explained that their thoughts and actions ran in the same channel, and that when they were married, they truly became one person. My grandfather died unexpectedly on a Sunday morning at the young age of 62. When it came time for his funeral, my grandmother explained that when she buried his bones, she buried herself. My grandmother had to build a new life for herself. She became more reliant on the Lord than any other time. My grandfather has been gone for 22 years now, and only recently has my grandmother found peace in knowing he is in a perfect place without any suffering, and that they will one day be together again. Through this trial, my grandmother came to a new understanding of how important children are in the world. She told of how her daughters and sons-in-law truly stepped up to the plate for financial, business, and emotional support. She explained that for her, her children were the greatest gift from God in terms of healing. Additionally, this trial really taught my grandmother to have patience and endurance, for healing and peace comes with time. She found how whole she could be made in the Lord and rested in that assurance. These events that shaped my grandmother so deeply most definitely have affected me down the road. Knowing my grandmother's physical and, more importantly, emotional survival through various trials has inspired me to have endurance. Healing does not always come quickly. More often than not, it arrives slowly. My grandmother's history and character has been instilled in me, and I have hope through trials that love and patience with pain will eventually break through to the victory of freedom from hurt.